written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we have to go to 6:40, right?
Yeah.
Well, we had, at 6:30, we were asked, was a request to hear a request to review a revised plan, and this
Okay.
is on the 76 Pheasant Hill Road parcel,
Okay.
so we have people represented from there. I don't know if anybody get a chance to go out there?
That's just to, yeah, I've been out there,
Oh.
that's just, they don't wanna put the split reel, they wanna put the markers in.
Yeah.
We lots of times we ask for the markers instead, so I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
This is not an easy lot to find.
Oh,
The
geez.
cul-de-sac kind of ends, and there's a little driveway,
they
that leads
have
to
all
another
those-
street.
They
Yeah.
put all those little lots back there.
Back there.
Yeah.
So that's 6:30?
That's 6:30, yeah.
Okay. So want to do want to do some agents? Well, actually, there's a couple of quick things at the top. We need to affirm or appoint or something, a CPC member.
Why, you don't wanna do anything?
I don't mind doing it, but we have to do it every
Yeah.
year, so it's, I think any other reorganizational stuff, we'll wait and see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens. I think we should, depend on who's gonna remain or go or whatever, and
Yeah.
then, but the CPC one we have to do, they've asked that we have a member, so.
I nominate Frank Snow.
A second.
Anybody else is welcome to, we have to have a member.
Can Penny do it in spite of the fact she won't be on the committee?
Well, she could be an at-large member, but she couldn't be the Concom member if she's not on. But if she's on the commission, she could be the CPC member.
I would nominate Penny.
I don't know if I'm gonna be yet.
Okay. I'm just sort of pushing you a bit.
I
And
understand.
we can always change it, so if we wind up changing up a few things, that's the other alternative, is we can kind of reassess that, But we just have to do,
You gotta do somebody tonight.
tonight for their meeting is next Monday.
Next Monday.
And they wanted to know who was gonna be there, so. But, I can just say, well, we're gonna keep it status quo for another month or two, and then, maybe when we see how everything shakes out.
That's what I would do.
Then we don't have to do it again.
Yeah,
Is that all right?
Yep.
that sounds fine.
I don't think there's much to do right now with CPC it's usually busy in the fall and winter, just getting ready for town
Can I
meeting.
ask you a question? Did they ever get the stuff up on the web that went, because I have to meet with Laura, and we've got to go over open space.
I don't know how much, to be honest with you. You and I were both gone at the same time,
Yeah,
so I
I
wasn't
know, yeah.
chasing it either.
Yeah, all right, because I just,
I'll share it with you, the position.
I just am, because I do have to meet with Laura, we're gonna work on that open space plan, Wednesday morning.
I don't know.
Okay, that's all right.
I know they're working at it, but I don't know where they've gotten to.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
She was looking for you today. Did she find you?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
she called me.
Did she say there was a final decision made on the contract for that?
Give me a break. I don't understand that whole mess.
Yeah.
I didn't ask her. I believe the same fella that we met with is, they're the ones doing it.
The
But-
vote was taken. I know the vote was taken, and he was first, but I didn't know if there was a final step that had to be.
Oh, no, because we already had hired him, and then Laura decided she needed,
This is for what?
the consultant for this open space plan, which has to be done
Right,
this year.
yeah, and CPC.
And you got the money.
And we
Yes,
chose the
CPC.
person.
Yes, well, then, we had a meeting, a kickoff meeting, myself, Pat, Jennifer, Laura, we sat down with him and went over the preliminaries, and I said I think I had all the info from last time out, which I did before. But then I come home to all these emails that they are reassessing who's gonna do it. But I guess the vote ended up being the same fella. I have no idea what went on there, and I really don't wanna get into it, because If it's
Okay.
done, it's done, you know what I mean? That was the,
Well,
because we wanna move forward with that and get
the
going.
CPC voted, we had interviewed somebody from Audubon
Yeah,
and this other fellow. Nobody was there to comment one way or the other.
yeah.
We discussed it and made a decision, and then we found out afterwards that it maybe wasn't the, I guess some people felt that the Audubon would be a better choice, but nobody gave us that feedback.
Well, come to find out, I guess the Audubon does not have expertise to do what needs to be done.
Okay. So at any rate, we're on the right.
Yes, we're on the right page.
This is just, it's, in order to continue to qualify for grants and
Yeah,
all that, we have to keep this up, open space piece updated.
right, right. I think we've given recreation and conservation another chance to do the interview because they hadn't sat in on it, so I think the intention was good, and then it turned out the same person got the most votes anyway, so.
Okay.
So, we're done.
Yeah.
We're just moving forward.
Okay. There is one piece that I did forget. We need to get, I talked to Lisa Fenton, CRs for, Lind and Litchfield.
Yeah, that's on tonight.
They are on here?
Tonight, yeah.
Okay.
We have to do it?
Well, we'll talk about it, as long
Okay.
as it's on that. And the Conway School Report, you have some hard copies? Okay. Okay. So we just need to decide, I mean, they're quite lengthy. I'd like to take one so I can read it.
Thank you.
Didn't you read the one you printed off?
I did, but that was a draft. This is the
Oh,
final.
this is the final?
Yeah. Oh, nice. We'll check them out after the meeting, and then we'll decide if we can get some more done at some point, or how we go about that. Thank you.
Those are golden though, Carol, be careful with anything like that.
I know.
I mean, I think we should keep one in the
Oh,
office,
definitely.
and then we'll decide.
Yeah,
I
they're
just
really
don't want it
nice,
disappearing.
really well done.
Yeah, the one I read was just one I printed off, but,
I saw you at town meeting. Just
um,
keep my eye on you.
and then, revised plan for 56 more.
This was one that had to go back before the North River Commission for
Right.
approval.
Kelly?
Yes, Kelly.
Okay.
And North River, we spoke with Judy the other day, Judy Greco, and they required that they made the boathouse or the shed smaller and remove some of the stone wall and make the patio smaller.
This was a
So-
project that Sally Coyle,
Yeah,
Who's
the
doing it?
nightmare, yeah, they cut
Yeah.
the trees down.
So they made the project a little bit smaller, so I think, you know, that part of it's fine. The one thing on our plan, it talked about removing the vegetation, all the invasives by hand, but it's a pretty good size area and it would take forever. So I talked with Frank and, you know, it might be better to allow them to get a small excavator in there. It's a ton of stuff. I don't know how they could ever dig it out by hand. But they're gonna be, it's the area where they're doing the replanting.
Down by the marsh.
Not right along the marsh, but to the left back side, coming all the way up from the street down the left side.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they were gonna be leaving some cherry trees and removing everything else.
It's really just pulling out a lot of briars and
Yeah.
scrub and
Yeah.
stuff, and I don't remember the,
as long as the equipment doesn't go on the marsh.
Right, right,
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think
I
we have a
don't have an
problem.
issue with that.
No, especially if it's mostly all invasive.
It's all invasive, except for
Right,
those three.
that's almost the
The
only way to
more they
really
rip
do
out, the
that.
better.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and he's gonna put down plywood on the existing lawn so that he can reach to where the edge of the marsh is to do the plantings of rose rugosa and stuff like that. So, but he won't be in the marsh, he'll be on the lawn, on plywood.
Did
So.
you say the boathouse was made smaller?
Yeah.
Good.
No, well, it was made further back.
Towards the
Um,
road?
Toward the house. Toward, you know, it's,
Oh, so it was moved? If you face the house, it was moved to the right
it was
more?
kind of on the other person's property. He owned it,
Yeah,
but he brought it, he's bringing it onto his yard where the original, there's,
But it's further from the marsh,
yeah.
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think whatever they're looking for is, it's, that part is it's less invasive or whatever, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then just the piece to clean it out with machinery, I don't have
The boathouse or the
Yeah.
guest house, yeah.
Okay. That's good. Want to do that 6:30, Pheasant
Sure,
Hill?
sure.
What, you Pheasant Hill?
Yes,
Okay.
I represented the current owners, they're the second subsequent owners.
And I'm sorry, your name is?
Paula Olander,
Okay, Paula. And your role is,
my firm represented them when they purchased,
you're an attorney?
yes.
Okay.
They're the second subsequent owners from when the order was issued,
Mm-hmm.
and no certificate of compliance was obtained, and they're now selling, and the buyer's attorney has requested a certificate of compliance, and the only outstanding issue is the orders that specify the split rail fence along the line of the no.
Mm-hmm.
Buffer zone.
Yeah, the buffer, yes. And there are plantings there, no fence was ever put there, and so we're just looking for that to be revised for just posts
Mm-hmm.
with signage.
I mean, in a way, I think if we get some treated posts that are gonna last longer with the signage, does anybody have a preference?
I don't, except that if you've got a fence, theoretically, you're not gonna go around it. Whereas if you have posts, you are gonna go around it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends upon how heavy the plantings are down there, you
Yeah,
know, whether they're gonna plow through them.
Did you get to see it?
Yeah, I was out there. It looks like there's a lot of pepper bush. There is a full row of plantings according to the plan along the back, right where the hay bale line was.
Yeah.
There's one spot where there's been some brush dumped in there, you know, lawn clippings and stuff like that. So I've asked that that be taken out too. And then I was asked to check if anybody around had to do, you know, fence. And the next door neighbor was told a fence or concrete bounds, or, you know, or something. It showed a picture of the cedar post with the plaque. So the next, you know, the next door neighbor had the choice of whatever they wanted, so.
Mm-hmm.
I go for the concrete
care.
bounds more than the wooden.
Is it concrete? that what we asked
Not
for?
granite.
No, but we've got, they were concrete.
This- I'm not sure if it's concrete or granite. I can look it up.
I think
Right.
they're
I think
probably
they're
granite.
concrete.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think we asked for granite.
Why not?
Because I
A
think
little
it's
No, but
pricey.
you know, a post mill fence, that's gonna be a nickel and a dime.
Well, you have to put some posts every so many feet.
Yes, all right. I'm just concerned. I like the fence because Tony said you're not going around it. But you've made the comment numerous times, and I agree with you, the fences
This
don't
is,
always last.
The language is in here.
So,
wooden posts won't last. I mean,
no, they're not gonna, they'll last for a while, but they're not gonna last forever.
How what's the frequency of these posts?
I think it's every 10 feet, is it?
It's up, you know, it's up to the commission to decide.
So this one says a minimum of 4 signs on 4x4 posts reading conservation area, no activity beyond this point. This is for.
well, this looks like wooden.
Yeah, yeah, that was the example that was put into by the engineer. I think it's from Greg Morse.
Right, and we've told a lot of people to put wooden in the past with the
think so.
signs. You put pressure treated posts, they're gonna last a long time.
But this one does say concrete bounds.
Yeah.
This is for 73 pheasant.
Right, and that was in there as an example, but that looks like, you know, that looks like cedar, so.
I mean, I would prefer concrete, I think, to,
To be honest, whenever it's mentioned, I guess I just assume it's
Yeah.
concrete. Because that's, you know, I have some,
Okay.
you know.
I mean, I don't think granite is necessary.
No, I
Well, you could
understand that.
you
I'm
could
just
specify
saying-
concrete or granite or stone
Yeah.
and leave it up to
Some
them.
kind of stuff.
Either or.
Because sometimes it's cheaper actually to go buy prefab granite posts.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is it really?
yeah.
Then- They're not, it's not a granite counter.
It's honed.
Yeah.
You don't find me looking for them very often.
Okay. So what's your pleasure?
Some kind of stone for me.
Can we live with that?
I can live with it.
Okay. do you know what the distance is? What the property line is?
Might be able to tell from the, oh,
This
no,
is it?
no, it's not on that. It's the zone.
Right.
I have the plan of their lot, but it's a narrowing,
Can we take a look? at-
absolutely, it's a narrowing lot, so it's hard to tell.
I'm just
what the
wondering how many
dimension-
posts we need to get a good,
Yeah, it must be 60 feet
So they're 5
No.
feet, which is
vegetation.
this one here. So that's the,
so this is the area that we need to,
I would say that, oh, that's the upland line.
this is the buffer zone line.
Okay.
And that's the wetlands line. So we'd be putting those things right across here.
Can I ask if, I live at 76 Pheasant Hill Drive, is it only 73 and 76 that are required to have these? Because none of the other houses have the split rail fence, and I'm not aware if these other homes have these stone markers or the,
I would have assumed, I don't think I served on the commission, and I've been the longest, I think,
I don't
up here
remember.
now, so I just don't remember it. But typically, if this was approved, I think Livingston did this project, and, you know, if it was approved at the same time, they probably would have had the same orders for all the pieces. Now, if some people chose not to put them in, like the one that you're doing, at the time that you go to get a certificate of compliance, we don't go out and check all the time, but someone should be coming in for a certificate of compliance. At that time, either the agent or an engineer goes out and tells us whether everything's been done in accordance with our orders. And that's typically when some of these things get picked up. So my guess would be that anyone that has a wetlands line has this same piece in their orders.
And they
And,
go to sell.
and it's typical that we put that in, and then it just makes people aware that there is a wetlands and that they shouldn't do that. It's on their deed, but nobody ever looks. And
I
whole-
wasn't able to actually find any for any of the neighboring lots, any orders.
There's only one other one in our file drawer for that street, and it's number 73.
I mean, the
Well,
plan
that's-
clearly shows that there's multiple lots that are affected by the wetlands.
Mhm.
So it's certainly not the only lot that's affected by it.
How many are out back there though? I don't either, I thought it was
Well, I'm looking at, on this plan, I think I'm seeing five lots.
five out back there?
no, there's 6. At least 6. I don't know if, the other street over on the other side has wetlands behind it, but we have at least 6 houses there.
So that goes to the end of,
Over to Tanglewood is on the other side.
right, but those are an older
Yeah.
subdivision. So the ones that should have been dealt with at this time are the 5 or 6 that Livingston built.
Right.
Or, and it could be that depending on when they were conditioned, maybe different board members, I can't say. But it's in your orders that you have to do something. Your request is that rather than a fence, that you just have the posts, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And it looks like there's, I don't know, maybe 70 feet? It's hard to tell because it's not the scale. So that's 80, so it's maybe more like 150
Yeah.
across there.
Is it got a legend on it at all?
So what do you think, like every 20 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So if you put a post every 20 feet,
Sure. The advantage to the wooden one is though you can attach the plaque. I don't know what you do for a stone.
well, they'd have to use a shield.
You have to get a hammer drill and, yeah, lead anchors.
I mean, I'm not,
Sort of from me to Carroll, about 20 feet. Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
I did too.
10 feet?
Used to be 10.
That seems like a lot.
I say that seems very close, like you would, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think they're
it's the same as
required.
putting up fence posts. I don't
Yeah,
think we've
that's
ever
it.
asked for them to be 10 feet, to be honest with you.
No, that's overkill to me.
I would think 20 would be all right. But I think it should be either stone or cement or, rather than, I don't like pressure-treated wood.
Don't eat any.
Try not to, or put it in the wetland.
No.
That's up to you again. What does it say? Just conservation.
Is there some, there's a picture here somewhere.
Right there, right in front of you.
It's right there.
Can I take that? I'm with her. This is my agent, Tricia Duffy.
Okay, can we get these online?
Go sign.
Yeah.
They'll make it up.
And do I need to bring it in, a copy of it, and have it approved before we?
Well, what happens is you get the posts installed with these, and then someone will just make sure that they're installed.
So they're low like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do they need to be a certain height? I mean, is there
Well, They
some?
should be high enough so that somebody would
Well, let's
see
find
them.
the plan. I mean, there is a set of plans and orders for your project, so it should say, should have something on it.
Well, not if it had a
7,
fence,
6
no, it won't
feet.
specify it.
7, 6.
Normally you'd have a,
Does it say either or in this, or it says the fence?
It just says this.
Oh, I would think, a couple of feet would be.
2 feet of it, I mean, you'd have all the vegetation would grow up around it, and you'd never see the
Yeah.
I don't know,
the fence.
You
I mean,
know, the federal government bought a big tract of land near our camp, and it was all pristine, and they went along jamming metal stakes with big signs saying you're going into a pristine area. I mean, it's like, for Christ's sake, you know, it seemed crazy,
Right.
you know? I think that we have to keep that in mind.
This is different scale.
Well, what's a fence post above the ground?
4 feet, 3 feet.
Probably 3 feet.
Go 3 feet and put the sign on it.
Didn't that have a scale?
So 1 inch equals 40.
Oh,
Just don't happen to have a
oh
scale.
Jesus, that's gotta be 80, 90 feet, isn't it?
160, 170. So I'm just thinking if you put 6, if you called for 6 posts
That's 120.
across there, you'd have plenty.
Yeah, 6 posts and 90 feet, yeah, that'd be, yeah, right.
So 6
yeah.
posts, 30 inches out of the ground with a sign on it?
Yep.
Okay?
6 posts, 30 inches.
Did you hear what he said? No.
So rather than the split rail fence, we're gonna have 6 posts equally spaced, 30 inches out of the ground with a sign. Okay?
Do we have to vote on that, a change in the motion?
Yeah, might as well.
I make a motion to revise the orders on 7/6/7. Instead of a fence, to put in posts with signage 30 off the ground.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me give that back to, yeah.
So what are you specifying as posts?
They can be concrete. Okay?
Or stone if they're cheaper.
Yeah, or stone.
Does someone need to come out and look at them
Yes,
after
they
they're
will.
installed?
Yeah, just let the office know, okay?
Thank you.
You know, as a broker, I mean, this happens pretty frequently, that these orders just never get done. And then at the time that you're going to do the pass, and all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, shit, this thing's in my deed, and I gotta get it cleaned up. Some people don't find them. Sometimes houses pass 2 or 3 times.
Pass
It
to
did
them
pass
without,
to
never.
us.
So that's what happened.
But these guys don't have as much work to do, so they're anxious to make sure that you get it right.
Gonna have an office building.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
take care. Who's this, that one goes with that sign.
640.
640.
Over there.
Good. So we can do a wetlands hearing.
Oh, my God, really? We have one?
On May
We have
3rd,
one.
how about Oliver Street, who's, is it Zukas? Zukas, yeah. Great. On May 13th, 2013 at 6:40 PM, the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Law, and Section 30700, Town of Situate Code bylaw, regarding the application of William C. Jr. to construct an addition on property located at 21 Oliver Street, Situate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
For the record, Jeff Hassett with Morse Engineering, here for a notice of intent for additions at 21 Oliver Street, Humrock. The applicant is Bill Zupas. Bill couldn't make it, but his brother-in-law Brian's here, and his builder Mike. So this property is currently developed with a single-family home. If you're coming off of River Street, you fall onto Oliver Street towards the ocean, and this property is on the left. It's set back one house from the ocean. On this plan, I've colored in the house in black and the garage in black as well. And the brown areas are the house. To the easterly portion of the property, there's a portion that's currently dune grass, and the remainder of the property is a gravel driveway or sand. The resources include Humrock is a barrier beach, and it's also within a developed portion of a coastal dune system. The entire property is in FEMA Zone AO with a depth of 2 feet. There are not any priority or estimated habitats, no vernal pools. There are no BBWs within 100 feet, and we're outside of the riverfront area. So what the applicant is proposing to do are 3 small additions. There's one. The first addition is here. It's a 1-story addition. It's about 97 square feet, connecting the house to the garage. It's within an area that's currently decked, and it'll be supported on sonotubes. Therefore, it complies with the building code within the AO zone. You can see the existing grade in that area of the addition is about 10.1. We'll match the first floor elevation, which is elevation 14.8. So we're about 4.7 feet higher than existing grade. The second addition is on the front portion of the property when you pull in. It's, again, a 1-story addition here supported by sonotubes, more of a bay window that's about 43 square feet. And the third addition is within the footprint of the home. They're putting a second-story addition on this portion right here, which will be a closet. I think this project will have minimal impact on the resources. There's plenty of room to park equipment. All the areas are currently disturbed within the footprint, the deck, the gravel driveway. So it should have minimal disturbance. Any questions?
Any?
When you're constructing, will you have a container on site for any debris?
Yeah, yes. Right.
You're not gonna store stuff on the front?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm good.
No questions.
I guess if I understand this, you've got the ocean here and the river here. And the flooding would go as it is now, right between the house and the garage. And that's, if I remember, that's an open area now.
Deck.
No, it's a deck.
Excuse me?
It's a deck.
More open than it's going to be, right?
No, it's still gonna be on sonotubes. It's gonna be raised first, same as the first floor elevation. So it'll be open underneath.
Well, I understand that. But you are, if, you are cutting off that water flow, if it were high. And that bothers me, I think, a little bit, if,
Is the grade through there 10 feet?
It is, yeah. If you look at, on this plan, the ocean is up here.
right,
Right through this area along the property line is a high point, and that goes up to, the highest contour is elevation 3. So the flow is naturally going to be diverted around that either direction. It's not going to go through this area. And yeah, the grade under the entire house is about 10. Yeah, you see the 10 contour below, and then above at the deck is the elevation 11. So it varies from 10 to 11 under the house.
Yeah, and the dune on the beach there is pretty high too, so the flow doesn't
Yeah,
come down here.
So
It would
the
go around the dune normally.
Yeah.
it
The top of the
just
finish-
concerns me.
top of the finished floor is 12 feet or
14.
14? So then maybe there's a foot of framing, 13, so there's gotta be like 3 feet between the underside of this and the grade,
Yeah.
roughly.
So 13.8, call it 12.5, I mean 10.5, yeah, so a little more than 3 feet.
So there's
What would you be planning to do? Would you leave that open underneath the,
Exactly, it's supported by sonotubes, it'll be left.
just
open.
plain sonotubes?
No footing, no
There's
foundation
no
walls.
No
skirt.
footings, no foundations,
Actually, there is a
no,
footing buried for the sonotube, so
Uh,
there's no foundation walls.
no breakaway walls?
Not necessary, it's not necessary, because it's.
And
it's
you're not
great.
planning on using it as a storage area?
There is no storage in the building at this current time. For 20 years, they haven't used it since. You just follow the guidelines to keep the house controlled.
That's what a lot of houses on the water said before this last storm.
No, he doesn't put anything in the, I mean, he's lived there for, early 90s. I mean, I think I went in there to see what the framing was, and I think there was a 2x4 and a ladder. That was it.
No.
Is the house on piles now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can be done with minimal
I don't
amount of
think it's a problem.
disturbance.
Get a motion?
I make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what'll happen is we'll get a set of orders for this and approve them at the next meeting, and then go from there.
In 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks and 2 days.
Yeah.
Wednesday,
It's
Wednesday, 2
29.
weeks.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Right.
Did it trigger?
Permitting process start
Stipulate
before
no
then?
storage under it.
Yeah.
Put that as a
They have
condition.
to, they have to vote after they see the conditions, so.
Okay.
Is it gonna trigger anything with Board of Health for septic upgrade for?
No, they haven't used
I
that.
mean,
The septic-
Oh,
you have
and it's gonna
septic.
accommodate the second floor, it's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
storage.
Not putting it in.
What kind of spark this is?
So we
You know,
can't, you know.
the previous builder didn't close out.
Uh-oh.
So we- where is it?
Yeah.
No, they're not adding bedrooms, and the septic was installed within the last few years. It's a new water system.
Is that you guys too?
No.
Oh.
Oh, somebody else got fired.
Oh.
All right, thanks a lot.
See ya, Jeff.
Thank you.
Already, there's your setback.
It doesn't, it's nothing to do with us.
Right, but no, I know what you're saying, but there's your setback, realistically. But, you know, I think maybe Neil will decide, but I think he'll look at it like it's not changing these setbacks. Because the garage is already running.
I had a question, those small lots in Humrock, do they keep the distance off the property line that you have to have for any
Well, there's a lot
project?
of non-conforming.
Right, it seems like
But they
most
were
of them-
built before all that was adhered to in that zoning. The lots, the lots aren't big enough, they don't have enough square footage. But the way they treat it now generally is you can't make it less conforming. Like if you knock down a house and build it, you can use the same footprint.
Ah,
But if you go in and you say, I want to build an addition to 5 feet from the front property line,
okay.
you know, let's say the front setback's 30 feet, and it's already 10 feet from,
Go to 10.
they won't let you go more. Make it less conforming is generally the,
But that's the building inspectors. But are there any vernal pools in Humrock?
I was going to tell him, when he said that, I was going to say, I think I saw a vernal pool on the property.
They might have a couple of those lined goldfish ponds that are turning into one.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go through the agent's report piece, Pat?
Sure, I could go through a few of these. 101 and Vinyl, that's the one where it's a contractor, and I guess on weekends there's been some stuff moved around in there, so I called, and I didn't get a return call back. I went there, knocked on the door, and then at this point was sent a violation letter, and it went certified mail, and I think this person's well-known to the commission. She's been in the past. She has her own landscaping business. So,
Jim and I went out there, if this
She
is the
was
same
fine.
one,
Yeah,
probably,
it
yeah.
is.
Is this,
Panatel maybe or something?
something like that.
is the
she
name
has-
spelled wrong on there? Is it?
It's her family home. You remember her sitting there
Because
and arguing.
I think should be AJ, because I think that lady has come in front of the commission a couple of
And you
times.
told her to, we
Well,
told.
Jim and I went out there and we asked her
I think that's the
to
same.
pull everything back, to clean it up, don't push anything more out into the wetlands. And just get remove some of the leaves and stuff that, it was all basically organics, it wasn't trash or anything
Mm.
like that, it was flipping, she has a landscape business.
Mhm.
And we sort of said, you know what, just don't go any further here.
Mm.
But it sounds like they're,
I think there were 3 letters from the commission and Jim, and first 2 were ignored, and the third one, you know.
okay.
I
Yeah.
do believe she was supposed to delineate the wetlands.
Yeah, I think so. This one that she said it was like her father's farm
Yeah,
and all
right,
that.
right.
Yeah, all right. So I think the name's Mirage, not.
She came in. and-
Oh, is it spelt wrong?
I think so. That's the same one I'm thinking of.
It is the same one.
All right.
I remember she sat down here and she basically
Yeah.
argued with us.
So,
And she had
yeah.
no intentions, she made it clear of doing anything.
Yeah, so she's received the letter by now, and we'll,
Okay.
follow up. I don't know if she'll contact us or not, but.
All right, well, like I said, Jim and I did go there, we looked at some stuff, we looked at I don't know how much further down in Vinyl you look, but my God, there's like
Yeah,
probably 5 houses
right,
with similar or worse issues.
Worse.
Yeah.
right. The reason we started with this one is, first there was a history, plus then there was an abutter who called and said, on the weekends, they're just going wild, filling further back all the
Alright.
time, so. But then the other 2 are on the list. We already have the other 2 files pulled. One's a boat junkyard and one's a car junkyard. So
Right.
they're gonna get letters too.
Okay.
So we started with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, because it's right up against near the railroad tracks that go,
It
Through
abuts to
there.
the marsh
Yeah.
back there.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
It's,
Somebody asked me about, as long as you're on that, one on Stockbridge Road the other day. Somebody stopped me and asked me, I don't remember the number.
Carol's mentioned one on Stockbridge in the past that,
Somebody called me, it was just, I think they had a fire there and there was, I don't know, it just looks like a mess. I did ride by, but I didn't have a chance to do anything, if I can get a number for you, but I hate these things.
Fire burned up all the debris.
No,
that would be good.
no, it was the home of a former town employee and he passed away and someone else has bought it and it just, it's the same thing, it goes out into a red maple swamp and there's a brook back there somewhere.
We gotta do something about it.
right, there's
Got to do
several
something.
of these, and it's like, each month we could put a couple on there and send them the letter, and those who respond, we could suggest how they can improve it, and those that blow us off, then we can take the next step
Ramping it
with the
up.
enforcement order, which is happening up on Gardner.
Right.
So the enforcement order was ignored too. And now Toomey and Brandon Moss sent a draft letter. I don't know if so, yeah, so they're gonna send that today to them, hoping that the legal letterhead might get some movement. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think, I did talk to Greg Morse and it sounded like maybe the guy had contacted him, like he's getting the message, but.
Yeah. So then the other 2, right after, Chief Justice Highway was a report about cutting next to the salt marsh, 155 on the right, so we sent the letter to him, we haven't heard back yet. 181 Edward Foster is one that you guys have had in the past where there's a wetland in the middle and it's been mowed, and he was told not to mow it, and was mowed the other day, so an abutter called, so we sent them the letter.
That one, I think I mentioned to
mentioned,
you.
yeah.
I mean, that was like one of the early projects when I was on there, and I stopped out and met with him and met with his contractor, and
Yeah.
we had told them they could do some things. I went out there on the weekend, and there's an excavator out in the middle of all those reeds and stuff like that. All right.
So those are the four most recent letters.
Okay.
The other one is the Deer Common, oh, go ahead.
Could I just ask you, are you asking Chief Justice to come in here and see us?
To contact us, and then I'd go out with whoever wants to, just to meet with them, because I can't even see what's been done. You can see some trees.
You can see it.
Well, you can see a couple of tree limbs, but I want to be able to walk the property
Yeah,
and.
but he's cut more than trees. I mean, that's,
Shrubs,
when I went by
yeah.
yesterday, it is clear and he's
Right,
doing.
yeah, the letter said, we want to meet on site and talk with you, so that's where we left it.
All right.
I mean, I think you have to start with
No,
something
I
like
just
that.
was curious. If
Yeah, you
would
can
have
see
him
it.
Come in for a show cause or whatever, that's
Yeah.
all. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I
Gotta
think
start
it,
someplace, but you also have to take it to the point where,
You
you know,
get
these
attention.
people are gonna do something more than just,
Well, before
Well,
the
circular
man
file.
seeds that,
Right.
I think he's gonna seed it. That's
Well,
it
I
looks
think
like
what,
to me.
as Pat's saying, you start out with
Yeah,
a notification. If they don't, you get a show cause. If
Right.
they don't, then it's a fine.
we've
Yeah.
been doing that for 6 years.
Well, I think in some cases we've gotten to them.
In some cases, we've gotten to them, you're absolutely
Yeah, and I
right.
don't
In most cases,
I think you can't
We
feel
have
any
it.
differently than the police department feels with a lot of the cases that they do. It's like, they know that people are breaking the law, they can do so much with it, but how much
yeah.
can you do?
yeah,
So you do the piece that you have. The best thing, in some cases, you can do is you wind up putting the thing on there that stays with the deed, and then when they try to sell the property, then they got to deal with it.
Mhm.
yeah. Toomey was saying sometimes
Have
the
a lien.
letter from the law firm gets some action, without going to court. Sometimes they say, oh, okay, they're serious, now we'll do something. We'll see how that works with this one up on Gardner.
Sure.
But all these other ones, we're gonna track them on the whiteboard in there so that we have where they are, whether they've received an enforcement order, whether they've sent the letter and they've ignored it. So we'll
Good.
just keep a record of that. And you're right, some, you push, but as long as other people see you treating everybody that does the same thing the same way and you're following up, I think,
Yep.
that's what we can do. The next thing I had was the Deer Commons project is getting ready for a pre-construction meeting. That's the one right up here, 530 Chief Justice Cushing, just as you stop the hill. And it's a big site, and they never sent in a notice of intent to DEP because they felt that they were only gonna be in our jurisdiction and outside the DEP jurisdiction. So their order is a town order only. Yeah, so because there's an isolated wetland out there, and they said, okay, we have to file with the town on that one. For everything else, we're gonna stay 100 feet away. And I looked at the plan and I said, boy, it's gonna be a challenge for them to keep 100 feet away. So I said, reflag certain areas so we can get orientated out in the field. And then we can measure off to the wetlands. And if it looks like you're 100 feet from all the DEP stuff, fine, you'll just work with us about erosion control. But if you're within DEP jurisdiction, you're gonna have to file with DEP. So,
That one,
Is that Bjorklund's old property?
yeah.
yes,
We've all
yeah.
been out there.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I remember going out there, I just had my knee replaced, and Mark Stewart and I were fumbling around out there, but they had really flattened the thing with the
A lot
doors.
of trees, yeah.
We had a lot of folks from Williamsburg Lane that backs up behind there,
Yeah.
a couple of meetings. It was, that they said that they had done perk tests, but they did them with a bulldozer, which was pretty odd.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of trees missing out there, yeah.
So, but what we had determined was that they had encroached on the wetlands towards the power line.
Yes.
If you go out there, there's a power
Yeah.
line that's
Yep.
sort of between.
First
that
Parish
property
and, yep.
And First
Yeah.
Parish.
Yeah.
And they had encroached on that right into the wetlands in a couple of places, and we had asked them to clean that up. But I think the guys that did the perks never wound up following through and doing that subdivision.
Yeah,
And so then it sat for
Yeah.
quite a few years without anything happening. So,
it's McSherry and Tedeschi now.
yeah,
And so the email, I sent you guys a copy, it's like if you tie these 20 flags, we'll be able to tell where we are on the property, and we'll do measurements off of that. So that's how it's left.
So are they gonna relocate the flags that were existing before?
Yes, they're gonna go back to the original plan and then have the surveyor put them on the original locations
Okay.
and the numbers. And then, a lot of times, goes back a long way. This goes back 6 or 7 years, so the wetland lines may have changed anyway. So we're in our right to say we could say we want the whole thing reflagged, but I think there's a way to do it just to get the closest points flagged, and then we can go look at it.
Okay.
But if it's something they should have applied to DEP, then I'm gonna say,
Right.
the commission's gonna, we can't say you don't have to if.
But
we know
theoretically,
better.
it's very possible to have a property, since our bylaws are more restrictive.
Right, it is possible, right.
Right.
And if it is, then we'll just deal with them. The biggest issue out there is gonna be erosion control, because it's a real slope to the wetlands out there. They're gonna really have to be careful, and how much they clear at once. If it's 20-acre site, or whatever it is, I think it's 20. Maybe I'm mixing it up with that other one up on Clap Road, but it's a big site. If they clear all that, it's gonna be a mess out there, so.
All right.
Planning board, in their agreement with them, is limiting the amount of cleared space at a time to 2.5 acres, so that's good. That's manageable. We can make sure they leave the trees as they work on different parts of the property, so.
Back when they were in here to us, a few years back, before the market fell, we had a consultant go out there, because I was out there with the consultant, and there were some trees down there where the power lines go through, that they were going to have to put wells around them
Yes.
in order to protect those trees, because we told them, you're not gonna wipe these trees out. So it was a very involved project.
Your name is in there. They said you were gonna tie the ribbons around the trees to keep it. So I put that in the letter too, that there's still trees that are gonna be
Okay, so
saved.
you-
Because
yeah.
they didn't want to say, that was the other thing. They were saying, oh no, there's no restriction on tree cutting. I said, well, I read it in there, so.
We went out there with the consultant.
It's a very delicate project.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which they seem to be treating sort of in a cavalier fashion.
Yeah,
Well,
they inherited it too.
yeah.
I don't think they even read through a lot of the original stuff.
Well, that's up to them to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we did go out with a consultant, and the consultant dealt.
Who was it?
I am trying to say, I don't know if it was Horsley Witten or it was the other one, an initial that we used all the time.
CDI?
Yes, it was one of those, and it should be in the file.
It's in there. It is in there, yeah.
Was it a woman?
No,
No.
it was a woman and a guy, and I know the guy, this is awful, but I can visualize him, but I can't come up with his name. But it should be,
It
there should be
is.
a report.
Yeah,
the
it's all
file.
in there, and they can't have the pre-construction meeting until they take care of this stuff
Okay.
for us. So that'll be the first step.
Just
Sounds
wait,
good.
yeah. They just can't wipe the place out.
And
That
Greg,
was the answer?
Greg Tanzi's the engineer on the project now, so I don't know if they were the original
The kid came up from
people or
Florida,
whether it was
and
Paul Marabito and Greg.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So,
where he lives, not his office.
What's his sister's name?
I don't remember. If I did, it would help.
All right, well, let's get that stuff then.
all right, yeah, that's moving along. Central Ave visit. I went out there with Rich, and there's so many
Where's
calls. It's this town called Humrock. It's south of here. Only kidding, Rosemary.
Listening,
Yeah.
where is 271?
The rate we're going, the Humrock members are
That's
gonna outnumber the
Duffyville.
rest of us.
Yeah. Well,
Probably so, because their problems outnumber the rest.
Yeah.
So that'll be fitting.
Well, a lot of these are reports that people call in, and when you go out to look, they were absolutely true. What they said is actually happening. So we picked up 5 or 6 things just from one ride down that we really need follow-up. They're like violations anywhere else in town. And, it's storing stuff on the marsh and stuff like that, or making a pile of buoys, or putting a boat there, or, so there's 4 or 5 of those that we've written letters to. With the Duffys, Rich and I met out there, and we have a contractor who is gonna, work with us on this and not do anything with vegetation, and they're gonna put the stones back you know, a little bit off the septic, but not bringing them around to the side or on the paper road or up, back out into Central. It's just gonna be spread out on the front yard. They're gonna get the equipment out of there eventually, we're working on that. And what else do we talk to them? Oh, they're not gonna, touch the driveway. Originally, she had wanted to pave it or put concrete down. We said, no, you gotta leave it the way it is. But there's another area she wants to take up concrete, and we said, we may allow that. And then there's concrete in the marsh behind it. So we walked that with the contractor, and we said, you know, let's take some out, you know, and so he's gonna talk to her about that part, but the other things he's gonna get done, this is gonna take a while. This isn't gonna happen overnight.
That's all in her original. We
Yeah.
walked that, we pointed what had to
Yeah.
come out, you know, the big hunks and.
All of that is absolutely true. You're absolutely right,
You were
Penny.
there.
I was there.
That's
All that
right.
is true, but I have to say honestly, she got slammed as bad or maybe worse
Yeah.
as anybody.
Yeah.
So I think to give her some time to get it done is perfectly appropriate. I
Oh,
really
I'm
do.
not, I have no problem with the time frame. I just don't
And then
want.
she even put dumpsters in to have, you know, get stuff taken away, and everybody else filled it on her.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice neighbors.
Did you talk to him at all about what we had talked about, making a dune above
Yeah,
the wall?
well,
or-
that's the
Front yard.
step two. It's gonna be
Right.
cobble and then sand and grass on top of that. I don't know how that works, but I mean, I imagine you have to really stay on it to have the sand not just filter through.
The guy was perfectly willing to try it.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
guy was pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a contractor that I don't think gets paid. I think he keeps his boat at the end of her pier in exchange for doing some work, so it's, you know,
Dredging the river.
yeah. So this one, anybody's welcome to come on the next visit, but this one is, you know, ongoing.
I think Paul and Richard got that well in hand down there.
Yeah. And the wall's not getting raised, the real wall,
Right.
now that's staying until it falls down by itself. And nothing on the abutters properties, because there's a lot of abutter issues there.
Does she have any plans this year to plant the trees that she cut down?
How did we leave that? We talked about
I
the
don't
dune
think
more
that
than
was-
the trees.
right.
Was that in the original?
That was the original,
Replacement.
she was called in here.
That's why she was called.
To cut the tree, yeah.
Right, there was a
And then it all
planting plan,
snowballed
yeah.
from there.
She added things to what she'd like to do, yeah.
Well, we told her, first thing was to put the trees
Yeah.
down.
She did talk about planting, not with him that day, when we went out to speak with her. She talked about plantings. But I think that she took down pines, but she was gonna plant something else. Some kind of bushes, I think.
Well, no, it was.
There is planting in the order of conditions, yes.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
there is
It's
planting
in the
very
order of conditions.
Surety,
specific.
right, Surety has an order of conditions.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have they made any progress?
No, if anything, it's worse. But not her, I can't say that it's her fault.
But by the
Well, you
storms?
saw
Yes.
it
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
winter.
Oh, yeah, it went right through the house.
Yeah, the house got
Went around the
broke.
back, came in the back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, all the systems down in the basement got ruined. The floors are this high, the kitchen floor is this high off the,
She's in bad shape.
Yeah.
Really in bad shape.
yeah. So, all right. And then the other one is the person who's got the boat industry mooring business, and he bought some lots on the riverside of Central. And he's storing initially a boat on a trailer and a few channel markers. So we said, you know, can't do that. You either have to come and file with the commission or you have to get them off. And his response was, well, I'm pretty busy with my business right now. I said, well, you know, that's nice, but everybody's busy. You have to figure out a way to do it. So I'm expecting him to not do anything, and we have to follow up.
Okay. Well, if that was his attitude, then don't
Right.
hesitate.
Well,
Right.
it really is an issue because
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
else is gonna start putting stuff
Exactly.
in there.
Right.
I've actually had a couple of people say, hey, if you're gonna allow that, I'm gonna put whatever, you know,
Let's
so,
get after that before.
yeah, yeah.
I think we should go do something sooner rather than
Well,
later.
the letter went out, go out today, this was, I think it did. Yeah, I think it went out today.
A letter?
About, you gotta get it out. There's a follow-up to our conversation, you gotta get the thing out of there, and, you know, so. It'd be simple to take it out, too, it's just a boat on a trailer, just take it across the street and put it somewhere else, you know. So, but I think these lots were purchased with the purpose of, oh, I can use these lots for something.
Well, if you drive down and look at the riverside of Central Avenue, there's docks, boats, excavators, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So I could see where someone would think, oh, I can park a boat
Right.
trailer here, there's an excavator down the
Yeah.
street.
Right. But there's, you know, that place with, the worst spot down there is along 242. And so I just happened to pull the files, it's this much on one particular contractor in the area who has this house for sale. But it looks like there's been a lot of filling done on that lot. It's right before the first string of houses on the left.
Augie Bloomstein?
That's the
Yeah, he's-
guy.
Oh,
That
Yeah,
is the guy.
he's been in here a bunch.
So he's gonna have, he's trying to sell that house.
Come up with a name that quickly.
I
'Cause
described
remember-
him.
He's the only guy who's ever come in here since I've been here. Instead of saying, my grandmother's sick and I didn't know you couldn't do it, he said, yes, I knew you couldn't do it. And I thought you wouldn't give me permission, and I thought I'd get away with it. That's why I remember him.
So anyways, he's moving to the top of the list, I think, because there's a lot of files of old stuff that never get figured out, so,
Own excavator will raise havoc.
yeah.
Jesus.
all right.
Okay, so that's Central Ave, and, sorry to pick on Central Ave, but we're trying to fix
Put
it,
it up now.
clean it up. And we're not picking on them, we're trying to make it nicer for the residents.
Maybe they could form a committee, just let me review that.
Yeah, another committee, that's what we need.
There's a harbor cleanup guy that it's called Stellwagen Live. He wants to get out and remove things off the salt marsh near First Cliff.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's been doing this in other towns, and he gets young people. And I said, well, you know, any equipment? He said, nope, but we'll just walk out there and we'll pick up old
That'd be
dock
awesome.
pieces and stuff.
Start yesterday.
There
Yeah.
was an email came out about that, because I got
I
it.
wanna
Yeah.
see how many of them it takes to get that concrete float off.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's still
Thing's been
there.
bugging me every time I go out. There's one from the old Mill Wharf that floated across the
Oh, was
Pacific Guardian Marsh for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Wow. There's another cleanup going on too, the harbor cleanup that Mark Patterson's involved with.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's coming up too.
That's great.
But along with this, the harbor, there's that replanting plan that was a replication that there isn't enough room to do it the way it was originally approved by the Corps of Engineers. So
Right.
now there's a new Corps of Engineers person that wants something to happen soon. So there's gonna be a big meeting. I think it's with probably Tricia, the selectmen, us. The Corps is not happy with this not being done.
Is that the Marine Park you're not
Yeah.
happy with? You know, it's interesting, because the guys came down from the Corps of Engineers, a year ago, and I was there, and he had no comments on the plantings.
Yeah,
That guy had absolutely no comments whatsoever.
yeah. I think that they had an area outlined for plantings, but it's either currently a salt marsh or it's the parking lot. There's just no place to plant over there, so.
Part of that was a dredging permit, and the problem is that there were two consulting engineers. There was one that did the dredging project, and then there was another one that did the marine park. Okay, and we didn't use the same engineer for
Okay.
both pieces, and then the guys that were doing the marine park, if you recall, changed the plan without coming.
Yes.
Poetic license.
Yeah. So, we're going back and forth with how to restore that edge.
Right.
But the big question is, I mean, the amount of salt marsh that they want restored, there just isn't any landfill.
Right,
So whether
right.
someone did the filing incorrect,
Okay.
or whatever, I mean, they're talking like 11,000
Yeah.
feet or something.
Yeah, and there was like 2,000, room for like 2,000.
Right.
Yeah,
But they said like 11 instead of 1,100. And so whether somebody made a mistake in the filing, but there's no way there's a quarter of an acre out there to restore.
right. But the Corps will have something replanted somewhere, and that's what the meeting, it may be even an off-site or an out-of-town thing
All
or
right.
something.
Can I just ask a question of you, Frank? To my knowledge, that parking lot, when they did the marine park, it didn't get bigger from when it was
It's,
done.
there's
No,
two
it
different,
didn't.
there's two completely different issues. One of them was the dredging project, and when they were
Yes.
doing the dredging project, they were gonna restore some salt marsh.
All right.
Then they
So
also
they're gonna
had the
build out.
piece of the marine park, but they were done by two different engineers, and
Okay,
then
I
the
hear what
second
you're saying.
engineer, there was an architect or somebody that did the marine park, and then they hired a consulting engineer to do it's just so convoluted.
So it just, all
But they have to figure out, because they had that chapter 91 license with and the Army Corps, they have to do this salt marsh replication, and I don't know where the hell they're gonna, but you know what?
Right.
This has been going on with the Water Resources
Yep.
group for a long time, and they have the funds from the moorings and all that sort of stuff. Not Water Resources.
No, waterways.
Waterways.
Waterways, yeah, because Mark's involved with it.
Right.
Yeah,
So Waterways
yeah.
Yeah,
has, that was that group that was doing that. And the other problem is that they have committees like ours, and they keep rolling over, and it's not the same people.
no, and that's what happened down there, yeah.
Well, then there was some independent stuff, if I remember correctly.
Right,
Kurtzberg and crew.
right.
Well, people were deciding, but I didn't realize they were
But-
supposed to make more salt marsh like that.
I'll let you all know when the meeting is. You're all welcome. Anybody's welcome to come, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a fun one.
No.
It's it's a
And-
brand new
and
core
And
person.
again, the sad part is, or the difficult part is that this is a place where the harbor master sort of got into a pickle that he didn't put himself in. And the guy's been so willing to try to get so much done there,
Yeah.
and he's the one that's gotta get this thing unraveled. So anything that we can do to work with him on that,
Yeah,
I'd like to make sure we do.
yeah,
That's right, Mark kind of did get it dumped in his lap.
Right.
then.
yeah.
Your lead person, I remember when he was told that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Then there was Kevin's project down on the seawall repair lighthouse thing, and I sent that report out to me. It's pretty complicated, but it seemed to read as they've taken care of protecting that first house.
Okay.
The last one on
They're
Rebecca.
not gonna
there.
wind up being the brunt of some.
We're hoping not.
Well,
but,
they took it into account.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's well designated.
Right, right.
Whether it's
It was
right
a
or
good
not,
question,
we'll
yeah,
find
right.
out.
It was a good question because it made them think, gee, we better check this again to make sure it's gonna do it, but. So,
Okay.
They trust going in, yeah.
everybody see Richard's article in the paper this?
I didn't write it.
No, but Richard's quoted all through it.
And and Keith was in there too.
Yes,
were gonna point your finger, I knew it.
that's right.
I did read that.
Well, yeah,
We don't look like we're as in bad a shape.
It's
You read the
Plymouth.
front, It's Plymouth, you look at the
Plymouth
flip of
was-
Plymouth, you're like, holy.
wow. I like the guy with the big tube at the top of the cliff and he's dropping rocks down with the chute, yeah, the
Bill's
construction
baby
chute.
baskets at the bottom of
Yeah.
the cliff.
But did you see the difference in the cliffs where the gabions are below? There was growth.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They've done something and,
Yeah,
you know, it's all done
it'd be interesting to see how they,
Some people have done it
Stabilize
correctly down there.
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
looks good.
There's some hanging off the edge though. There's some really close houses.
So, I know that there's been, I guess there's a meeting Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah,
And that
7
is-
o'clock.
Which I mean, I get
That's-
confused as to who the
right.
hell's studying what.
That's the engineering firm that's working with Marshfield, Duxbury and us that's doing the sea level rise.
And you and I went to the initial,
Yes,
the kickoff
yes.
meeting. Have they had a meeting since then?
No meetings and no drafts or anything. They're gonna just introduce
But
it
I
that
thought they had a
night.
big deadline that they
They
had.
do, they do. So that's where they're trying to get this meeting, to get the public comments and then sit down and work on it again.
That
But
was
they're
a
gonna
grant
get,
from the Gulf of Maine for like 30 or 50 grand or something.
yeah, and the deadline is coming up. There's one deadline in May and then there's,
Right.
but, is that, I don't even remember, is that in here?
No, I think it's at the old Pier 44.
That's
Yeah, down the
my,
harbor.
Oh, okay.
right,
I-
on Thursday. If anybody is
I'll go.
interested.
I'll go.
7 o'clock.
So, we asked if we could at least see what they're gonna say before the meeting, because we're gonna be, there for the town. They said we'd be lucky to have it done by then, so we're really not gonna get any advance warning.
I had sent an email to Tricia suggesting, when I went out to the Conway School, they were interested in doing a study.
Yes.
When I asked them about a different project, and they said, well, what we'd really like to do is we'd like to come to Scituate and do similar to what they did for us in the West End, that same type of procedure or philosophy. But they want to study the effects of sea level rise on the town of Scituate, its residents, its homes, and it's really, it's instead of like studying you know,
Erosion
what-
levels,
or all
yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
stuff. It's like, what's gonna happen as this occurs, and what will, and they do a pretty thoughtful process, and so I'm hoping that she'll think about that.
That report is great, the
Did you
Conway
see that,
School.
that they did for the, open space in the West End, Rosemary?
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, but they'll do that type of
Yeah.
report on sea level, you know, affecting all of Scituate, from Minot to Humrock. But it would be more thinking about what are the impacts gonna be, and what is gonna have to, changes are gonna have to occur, and all that sort of stuff. And I think it could be very helpful in terms of future planning on our thinking
Isn't
about
that what
stuff.
this other organization is supposed to be doing?
They're just talking sea level rise. They'll tell you how high it's gonna go. They don't really get into specific impacts of, you know, like people that
You can
own a
draw your own
house. and,
conclusion.
Yeah, right.
Rowboat
Well,
out.
I think these guys, went about it in a very interesting way
Yeah.
and came up with data that, that was very good, and then put together a pretty level-headed plan, I thought.
Which,
The Conway
right,
did.
right,
Yeah.
but they would like to use that same,
That
Approach,
model.
which I think would be great,
so I
because
did
very
ask her,
practical.
I haven't heard whether they're.
You asked
practical.
Tisha, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But they'll need to get on their dance card if they wanna have it for their next
Right.
school year.
So have they done coastal things before? 'Cause,
Some,
uh,
yeah. And they've got some pretty interesting people and professors and stuff that work with the students.
uh,
I mean, the good part is they get out there and they get some public
Right.
input, and then they piece all
a
that
lot of
together.
photos and,
Yeah, but they're energetic, and it's not just another piece. What we do with some of that is gonna
Right.
be just like this piece. How do we wanna
Right.
affect that?
the interesting thing about this is the FEMA people are coming out with their own sea level projections in the next couple of months, and they're different than this group.
But it's all a guess, to
Right.
some degree.
Right, I've read stuff, you know, everyone keeps talking about the glacial ice melting.
Yeah.
96% of the glacial ice is on the South Pole, and it's growing.
Oh, yeah.
It's some of the largest amounts of ice they've found since they've been auditing it in the last 100 years. So it's really not necessarily nailed down yet what's
Yeah.
Oh,
happening.
yeah.
And
Everybody
it
has
never
their
will
own
be. I mean,
Right.
you know, the whole thing,
conclusions, yeah, no question.
but
But
it's
you
still.
fly, but you fly over it and take a look for us, you know?
I'll put that on my list, swing down.
Where'd Paul go?
Frank?
Um,
Oh, sorry.
sure.
Kind of related to that, can I take half a minute to tell you about a visitor I had, Linda Renta, who is the one who plants all the American beach grass that used to be available through the Plymouth County Conservation District.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, they really didn't have any really didn't have any to offer, because she'd gotten bombarded with New Jersey and everywhere else. But she, her field was farm conservation planning, and she's gotten very interested in coastal planning and planting dunes, and so she asked me if she could come up and visit, and we had a very interesting conversation. But anyway, she expects to have, I don't know whether the Plymouth County Conservation District, you probably haven't dealt with them on this issue, have you?
No, yeah.
In the past, in the spring, they would offer all kinds of plantings, they'd be little,
Mhm.
and one of the things was American beach grass. And she, as I said, she supplied it. I guess there were other places on the Cape, but it was very inexpensive. And,
Where is she out of? Just Plymouth County, or is it down on the Cape?
No, she just is she was a cranberry grower.
Hmm.
She's down in Wareham. But anyway, in fact, she's submitting an article for a magazine quoting me. I'm getting a little concerned about this,
Nationwide.
but she's taken a real interest in doing this sort of thing, and
Whatever happened
promoting beach
4 or
grass.
5 years ago? There was a group that came in with a different planting approach. Does anybody, and I can't remember it had a terminology, and I can't remember it was when Vinnie was still around.
You're not talking about the CNRX thing?
Is that what it was?
That wasn't
Yeah.
planting anything, that was a chemical that they wanted to disperse on the beach, that they had a theory that the fabric softeners and some of the other things in laundry detergent coming out of the sewage treatment plants was actually making the sand slippery. And that was the theory behind the sand moving around so much, is it didn't bind.
Okay.
Swear to God.
Frank just
And
happens
they
to
wanted,
remember a
and they
couple
wanted to dig
details about
ditches
this.
and put this stuff
Good.
in and,
And they wanted to go along, they wanted a permission to try it on a beach in Scituate, and they
Right.
would dig trenches and apply this product,
right.
cover
See
it
if
back up,
worked,
and
yeah.
then see if that would somehow disperse that,
That's right, RS, or whatever it was.
I take it didn't go anywhere.
we decided we didn't wanna be a guinea pig for that.
Probably a
Because
good
because
idea.
everyone knows the ocean's predominantly made of fabric softener.
Yeah,
That's exactly what
but
I,
that's not, I mean, we're talking about two complete, this woman has an organic piece, she's growing grass. I think that was very unfair to say that about Rosemary's project. I didn't draw any parallels.
Didn't you need a longer vacation?
Yeah.
So is she interested in trying to do this in a section of town or?
No, she's finding more land to plant the beach grass. She's just very interested and wants to, pursue this interest in figuring out what to do with it.
Right.
The same thing everyone else is trying to figure out.
yeah.
We had a couple of people that couldn't get seagrass this year that wanted to plant
Well,
at the
that's
end of
it.
February, yeah.
She doesn't know if the conservation district is gonna do it next year, but
Wow,
she will have it available.
wow.
I'll know enough to contact her.
That'd be good to have a name, because we do get calls, we require somebody to do some planting, and they say, how can I do it? I don't have any seagrass, so.
I found some ornamental grass that I planted on a job in Hull that's already tearing up the asphalt, it's growing so dense.
Really?
I don't know what kind it is, but my God, if I owned a place on the, I'd
You
plant
got a
that
dune that
goddamn
was
stuff.
eroding, yeah.
I'd put this stuff in tomorrow, this stuff it's like knotweed, but it's got ornamental grass.
It's like knotweed, great.
No, that's interesting, because I asked her about a type of beach grass that we saw growing in Nova Scotia, and she said, there are many grasses that look wonderful and they look like they'd fit, but they're very invasive and they will destroy, the best thing in this area is the American beach grass. And some of these other things will,
Oh, I'm sure this one
The
is
invasive.
unbelievable, I mean, it's freaking tearing up the tower in this little location and, oh, it's like, holy Christ, what are we
How
planting?
close to the water is it? Is it, is it close enough to
He's
say
in the
that
V
it's
zone
water
planting this
tolerant?
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's not telling.
Stan Humphries is looking for some for fall planting for Peggotty. He couldn't get beach grass for
I'll
this
see if I can dig
spring.
some out, we'll try it.
And he's looking for a ton of it, because they're
Find out what
putting the
this
whole
is.
dune back
Yeah,
there.
maybe. Right,
I don't
yeah.
know if she'll be ready or not, but she said there are a lot of places on the page that sell it, but,
Yeah, it takes off, it goes wild,
I will.
No, if you
give
remember
her
to find out what it is,
I
let me know,
will.
I'm gonna try some of the beach sand,
All right.
see what it does.
So,
Okay, now we're down to Appleton.
yeah, Appleton, so we wanna get a group together to go out to Appleton Field
Sure, yeah.
for, this was a
For what?
request from Vinnie, right? And he just wants to show what he's, which I don't think is, if anybody, I mean, I was out there with the Conway School group. I don't mind taking another look at some point. A couple of people are interested in going out, he just, I guess his concern is that, I think some of the remarks that were made at some of the meetings were, what's going on out there, how's it being utilized, all this sort of thing, and we agreed to relicense him for another 3 years.
Yeah,
We're gonna be putting in access,
yeah.
and we're gonna see, I mean, we have the right to, that property is owned by the town of Scituate, and the residents of the town of Scituate, and, we can use a piece of it, he's doing a great job, we want him to keep pursuing that, but there may be a time when it's appropriate for some other people to use a piece of it,
Yeah.
if it seems right, I mean.
And it might not ever happen, but.
We have a lot of
You have to
different
keep
things
it
we'd like to
open.
consider doing out there. I would encourage you guys to look at some of the stuff that came from the Conway School report. and we'll think about what we wanna do out there. But, I think it's probably a good idea if a couple of folks at least see what's going on and appreciate what he is doing. But I don't really see the need to change. I don't think we're gonna be overrun with people that wanna organically farm that property.
Right, no, I
Not
think just
this
after those
Laura.
last comments, he wants to probably show us, educate us on
Right.
the positive things he's doing.
Yep. Okay,
Well, we know he's doing positive things.
so I don't know.
Is that his full-time job, or do we
I
have
don't
to
know.
schedule is he available during the day, or?
He's
Yeah,
there
he's
pretty.
got, he's got another place that he farms, I think, as well as that, but.
I think it's mostly there in the morning, that's
Okay.
why.
Have you been out there?
Yeah, I was out there with Tony.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tom.
Well, then, at least 3 or 4 of us have been up there.
oh, yeah, I've gone out
Well, we've been out there a
several
few
times, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to go out there with him, just to see what he's talking about.
Well, why don't you see if you can work up a time that's convenient and send,
Yeah.
and him, and send a couple of,
Afternoons better than mornings, or nights, or evenings?
we could have a,
I'm either here or not, so it's,
Yeah.
it's an all or nothing thing, so just email when you set something up and.
when we were on safari, we used to go out like at sunset and we'd have a couple of cocktails and see what kind of wildlife came in, so.
Came to visit, yeah.
Slurp your martinis for you?
The white elephant.
Yeah, yeah.
The pink one came.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanna, I mean,
All right.
Okay.
I'd see a couple of deer come into the field at the end of the day or something, whatever you work on.
All right. No guns.
No cameras.
The end of the day with martinis and no guns.
We cannot
So
out
we
there.
need to do conservation restrictions for Linden Litchfield. The CPC now does not want to pass on these properties until the CRs are done, because too many times we've passed, and we still don't have CRs on some of these properties. The CR is a conservation restriction, and it lists all the things that can and can't happen on that land, and for whatever reason, they've just dragged on forever. The Community Preservation Commission has a new has a new attorney to do the passings. They can work out the CRs. We just need to take the CR that we have on some of these and maybe modify it a little bit. We could pick any of the ones, Litchfield. Do you have copies of any, do you recall, Carol?
I don't know, Todd and somebody was going over, Jim or?
Todd and Jim were.
Well, let's see if we can find where those,
They went to,
Back to
to me, and I don't know what happened from there.
yeah, well, that's been the problem.
That's the problem, they sat there for 10 years. But they did work on them, I don't know what happened to them after Toomey got them.
If you're talking to Brandon or them, ask them if they have those CRs and see if we can't get them.
How many are there, do you think?
I forget how many, I
There were
don't,
2 that they went over.
Oh, there was
Litchfield,
more than 2, those were the last 2. There was, right from the get-go, the Appleton Field was the first one.
right.
None of them had been done, so it was up until there, all of those.
But we got some accomplished. The ones that we need to deal with right away is the Lind and Litchfield ones. But the one that's gonna follow right behind that is Higgins McAllister,
Right.
because they're getting ready to pass. So maybe we can find out where these are. And then we can take a look at them, because the Lind and Litchfield ones might be a little bit, this Litchfield, these 2 pieces of property are between Countryway and Stockbridge Road. And they were acquired pretty much to protect the Tan Brook and that red maple swamp that drains into our reservoir. And, you know, we may wanna have some stuff in that we could build a hiking trail later on if we wanted to, but it wasn't the primary goal of acquiring these. They're sort of behind a bunch of other property, they're not in a real open area. There may be thoughts of trying to connect that, there's a little piece of recreation area off of Evangeline that they did, and that property connects, I believe, to some of that. And it's a strip of land that is in more of the southern end of town.
When do they have to be done?
Right away, I mean, they wanna pass.
yeah, I
Oh,
was,
we haven't passed on those two
We,
pieces
the
yet?
town, they don't wanna pass until these CRs are done.
No, the reason I'm asking you is because Laura wants me to update what's town land for this open space plan.
Well, they're not town land yet,
That's right, that's, thank you.
okay? Neither is Crosby
Yeah, I know,
or, Higgins
Higgins
McAllister
McAllister.
yet.
yeah,
Even though the town meetings voted to buy all of them,
Right.
they actually haven't passed.
okay. So those four, okay.
I could probably work on them the week of the 18th, I think.
Okay. And I'd be glad to read through one more. I
Yeah,
don't think
if
we,
somebody can show me
I
where,
think they're pretty much done. Let's just see if we can find out where they are.
yeah,
Start with Toomey's
Yeah.
office. and-
Toomey's might be a little bent because they were kind of taken away from them, but they should, it just went back and forth for so goddamn long and it shouldn't be that painful.
They were in here this fall though, because we were looking at them, I was looking at them with Todd.
Okay. Well, maybe we can,
I'm
You can
gonna
ask
call
Todd.
Todd and ask him if he remembers where
that'd be great.
they went, yeah,
Okay.
and I'll get back. to you.
Because it is important that we pass.
Oh, yeah,
on those.
no, I.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
And once we have them, we can, I think we could
Then
just
you
work
have a
out the ones for
boilerplate.
Higgins, McAllister and
Yep.
Crosby.
Yep.
Okay.
Once it's done properly.
Plovers?
They're birds.
Have we heard any more from any
Who said that?
Audubon or?
They were
Uh,
out there.
Yeah,
They-
there
they were out
been a
there.
report that came out. They have, last time I heard, they had 2 pairs on Third Cliff. They had a pair on Fourth Cliff and something up in the Glades. So there are birds around.
So we haven't done anything about protecting anything at the Glades or Fourth Cliff. Our effort's been at the Spit.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. And do we need, is Audubon gonna, actually, do they do most of the work? I mean, I can't remember how this happened the last time. Did they
Well-
do the fencing or?
The fencing is done, the fencing is up and done. I don't know, I haven't heard that Donnybrook this year, as to who is gonna pay them how much. Last year, we paid them $1,000, and they
Monitor.
did, excuse me?
To monitor?
To monitor, yeah, to do the least that they could to keep us in compliance. I don't know where that is this year. I haven't heard nobody is yelling at me, so I assume we're in decent shape. But we haven't done anything on Fourth Cliff, and we haven't done anything at the Glades, and we haven't heard from anybody that we needed to. But we probably we probably should to be in compliance with, what's his name, at National Heritage.
Who told you the birds were there?
Excuse me?
Who told you the birds were there? Out
The
Glades?
Audubon sort of goes around and is looking.
This the Marshfields Audubon Group, right out of
Yeah,
Marshfield?
that's the north-south, yeah, yeah.
You
Well, I
would
mean, it's not
think
the
once
Marshfield.
they found them, they'd send a letter or something to the town saying you need to protect them, we found them.
We haven't, I haven't seen anything to that effect.
Okay.
Well, if the town doesn't even have a letter, other than you happen to belong to the Audubon, is that how you know? I mean, we didn't get a letter saying that there's birds.
Oh, no, well, we did, in fact, Pat
We did.
got a copy of it that Sue McCallum will send out an email
Okay, all right.
on not necessarily even on a monthly basis, but I get it because
Yeah.
I cared, and you get it, and I know Rick Murray gets it. I can't remember who else
Well,
gets it.
if you hear anything from that, or if we need to move.
Oh,
on the
sure,
next
yeah,
piece, we
right.
should do that.
Right.
Tony, where'd the $1,000 come from last year that was used to pay the monitoring?
Oh, you don't wanna know.
Oh.
Can we bring that up at a later date?
Oh, no, this is unrelated to it. I was just thinking if there's a way that we can prepare for that, because, yeah, they're not gonna do it for nothing.
Right.
This is one nonprofit extorting money from another nonprofit.
Extorting money from Concom. It
We're
came-
really a nonprofit. We're a town, yeah.
Right.
I don't know where Tricia found that, to be honest with you, because we had,
Oh, she took it out of our fund.
Out of the Driftway Fund?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a Driftway fund that has some,
Or $12,000, or whatever it is.
Well, let's see if they
Let's
come
not
knocking for it.
get
Yeah,
fired
right.
on that.
No, I'll keep
All right.
you abreast anytime I hear something.
What's happening down Peggy Beach in town?
oh, Frank and I went down there, and there's a lot going on down there. The latest was that the town agreed to take the sand that was piled up in the Peggy Beach parking lot that came from Town Way. And they're gonna, let me see, Inner Harbor. From Inner Harbor Road, they plowed it into the town parking lot. Al took it, he was putting it back on the beach, partly in front of the public beach and partly in front of the people that were on Inner Harbor. And it's too late to plant, but at least there's gonna be sand there. And then where the handicap spots are and where the porta potty and all that, originally they were just gonna leave it because it forms the backside of the dune. It kind of filled in. And they couldn't because it blocks Inner Harbor Road, so now that's gonna be cleaned up a bit. And so the 6 families are now in on trying to do the planting through Stan Humphreys for the front side dune. Maybe one guy's fighting it, but the other 5 are all putting money in.
Yeah,
I mean,
one
guess
guy
it's-
But there used to be 3 fighting it, so I think there's only one fighting it
we're
now.
winning
Slowly.
Yeah, and then down the other end, there's like all the 8 houses off of Townway Extension, and they're realizing that they need a road and they need power, so there's 2 contractors that are talking to us about putting a road in, but Al's staying away from it because it's not town property,
I bet he
so.
does.
What? We
Al's
conditioned,
done it in the past.
we conditioned, well, not the last time, we conditioned a road to the rear of those houses, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken.
And
Yes.
DEP got all over us.
Yeah, who is it, was it to one particular person, because I can't figure out who it went to. There's nobody living down there right now, so.
Yeah,
I couldn't-
It's the house that, on the south end.
First one you come to at the end
Yeah,
of Town
and
Way?
She was very upset because she couldn't get into her property, and she was worried about power, she was worried about safety, she was worried about medical, absolutely everything.
So National Grid has got the agreement to put it in, but they won't put the power in and the poles in without the road being constructed, so. So
But
that's
should-
where we are.
I still believe, for some reason, I believe that we have like a continuing order to allow them to maintain that road at the rear of those homes.
Somebody
I mean,
mentioned
Somebody's
that.
already dozed it out anyways.
Yeah, they were in here, and I don't remember the mechanics, but we basically approved it because there was one, the woman who came with her dad who was against it, remember?
Right.
But, because we told everyone else they could do that.
But I know, I'd swear that we have, but I don't know which property,
Right.
it links to, or if it's all of them or what, but we did allow.
Yeah, I talked to Russ Totman. He was gonna try to find out, oh, no, it was Pete Shepard, Pete Spencer, they're both involved in this. And one of them knew who the contact person was, so I had told them, get in touch with the people, find out what work they want done, and then come back to us and we'll see if it's under some order of conditions, so.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that there is something to allow them to build a temporary road.
Yeah.
I think so too, yeah, I think it's there.
Yeah.
But right now, there's no power and there's no,
No.
you know, there's no water. They're talking about running the temporary water line out there, like just a hose on top of the sand out
Well,
there.
that's what they do for a section of, the Glades in the summer.
Well, if Rosemary's correct in her article, the price of insurance is gonna go up so much, all those people are gonna sell their properties to the town.
I didn't say that.
It's in that article, I know you didn't say it, but there's a big thing in that article about the cost of FEMA insurance, and then I've seen that in a couple of other places.
Is Al,
People are
It
gonna get,
already is. I mean, the act was approved last July.
yeah, correct, and it's supposed to go into effect this year or something?
It has,
It has?
Pat, did Al talk about what he wanted to do with the material that they excavated to keep that channel moving?
We asked if the people want that put in front of their houses on the beach side.
Is the town gonna move that material, or the people are just gonna be free to use it?
I think that's how it's gonna be. I was gonna talk with Pete and Russ and just to see if part of their road work or part of their work for National Grid, they could put some of that in front. There's gotta, I mean, other than that, we should tell Al he's gotta get back and help us on that because the
Yeah.
town kinda asked them to clear it out, but
Right,
talking
You're
wants to
talking
get
on the
paid.
backside of Peggotty?
yeah.
Yeah,
There's somebody working out there now.
Well, I don't know, there was a channel that got totally filled in, and they kept it clear because all the water back towards,
Right. Last year they opened it up.
Gilson Road. Well, after the storms this winter, Gilson Road, there was no tide leaving the Gilson Road area, because that channel had totally filled
Yeah,
in.
Right.
And so they pulled all that out of that channel, and it's just in a pile at the back of Peggotty Beach, you know, almost on the edge of the marsh. So there's a good-sized pile of stone that would literally, you know, wouldn't take anything for it to
Right.
wash right back into the channel.
right.
The question is, you know, is somebody willing to move it out in front of
Right.
those houses, or
Yeah.
whatever, but the town's not gonna expend any money.
It's private.
Yeah, I remember last year going out with Jim and looking at that and looking at what they were doing. And he said that we had no jurisdiction over what they were doing and, they just flattened that whole area.
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, we'll see what happens. I mean, they chose to dig it out, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
We'll need a lot of seagrass, Rosemary, for all these dunes.
I see, there was one other. I guess everybody knows that Todd had sent in his resignation, which is disappointing.
Very.
And I had left a couple of phone messages for him, and he sent me back an email basically that he had to make this decision based on frustrations with that, went on meetings that sort of went against his philosophy. And at the same time, just time constraints and other things going on in his own life, that the whole thing sort of conflicted.
I had a long conversation with him on the phone, and
Yeah.
basically a personal decision. He was upset about things that were happening here, but he said that was affecting his entire life.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I think we should, if he's decided that he's not gonna come back, we should at least recognize his efforts and thank him for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Efforts were major.
He made an effort to take all the classes and stuff too, he
I
knew.
know, no, it's disappointing, I think,
Maybe he just needs a break, maybe a year off.
well, I
and
think
then-
maybe that could be part of what maybe
Yeah.
we'll get together and just draft a letter and
Hmm.
ask him to reconsider at a future time or something like that.
He said he would do that.
Okay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, about 20 years from now. That's what he told me this morning, the kids
Huh.
around.
Makes him a wise man.
But so it leads us, though, we have to think about members, and if anybody's got any thoughts on that, because where do we stand right now with reappointments and stuff?
Not
We
I.
need to let them know.
I can't do it.
So you're all
I'm
starting
off
when?
definitely. I don't know, starting whenever the new year is.
Isn't it
I asked Kim
June
today.
we appoint new people and they start in
She
July?
said they are appointing June 18th.
I thought it was alternating years. You might be on for another year.
You didn't get that memo?
Oh, by the way.
You can't leave in odd years, Tony.
There you go.
Kim said the selectmen were appointing, I believe it was June 18th, will be when they make their appointments.
For
So-
July 1?
Yeah, for your next meeting. She said that shouldn't have been in the paper, a specific date. Because if they don't get people applying, then I don't, but your term is actually, would be up July 1st,
Yeah.
if your years are up.
So if anybody knows anybody that is inclined to,
Do we know whether anybody has applied?
no, but they don't, it's kind of like appointing the Pope, we don't know till the smoke comes out.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So what do we got, two seats, Todd and Tony?
Right.
No,
And Penny,
Penny's
Until
already
she-
reconsidered.
until she changes her mind.
I'm thinking.
You'd miss this too much.
Oh, that's what you think.
Well, if you didn't do this, you'd have to get on a seawall committee, and that could be more fun than.
Listen, I got an email telling me that Dave Paul needed money this weekend to send $1,500. You know, one of those things, somebody got into my computer and went down my list.
Yeah.
I sent it to Dave, I said, look what I got, Dave. I sent him on the email. Needless to say, I did not send him $1,500.
Lots of money to follow,
Because
right?
I saw his car and the GAR ball is truck. Oh, geez.
And then maybe we could just, if we could have the opportunity to start to think about this report from, we've gone through all this piece with the Conway School. I'm gonna take the report, I'm gonna make some lists of things that I'd like to start on, and hopefully in the next meeting or two, we'll discuss that. Think about whether it's gonna be some access. I know that there's a couple of people that would like to discuss this report, and rather than tie up a regular meeting,
I have another copy too, if someone wants to take it. I have a copy
Yeah, I
on
was
my
gonna see
desk.
if I could grab one.
Yeah. I think
But
we have 3.
Yeah, I'd like for one to stay at Town Hall, and then I'd like to go through it as well, because I just looked at a black and white one. But if we could rotate a couple of copies around, and then,
Make sure it gets scanned.
and then we need to, well, let's sign it out, all
Yeah,
right,
'cause-
Carol?
No, but seriously, they do tend to get lost.
Well, they're valuable, and
Yeah,
it's not something you
exactly.
just read in a night, at least I couldn't.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I'm saying, but I just don't want us to lose.
But what we should be doing with this is a report, it's just like any other piece that you get, you're gonna think about how you wanna affect some of these things. To me, the most important piece is thinking about the access, and then some of the management pieces, you know, whether we wanna, start some forestry things, stuff, we don't even own Crosby yet, so there's pieces that go on there that'll have to follow, but for right now, it's the Bates Lane piece. I'm very anxious to see us get going with another parking,
Yeah, the parking, because we have the funds.
and then
so
think
they
about
all
some
go to us.
trails. And I'm gonna try to make a list of the things that we wanna prioritize. The other piece that's still contentious is the hunting piece, and some signage and stuff like that. Think about some additional markings,
Some more signage?
yeah,
Okay.
and we'll go from
Oh,
there.
we can get more signage. I don't think that would,
No,
Given the
it may be some
contention.
things that we can do right away.
Yeah,
Because
right.
that's one of the recommendations, is the
I
concern
know they
for
wanted to
safety.
change change the wording.
And I know
some
that
of the
there's some
wording.
folks that will wanna talk about what was said in the report, and really, it's just a matter of how we affect that
Mhm.
report.
Yep.
And, you know, everybody there could be a lot of people that disagree with one piece or another. Somebody might say that, you know, we should be managing the woods a different way, or something, you know, but this is sort of what they have as a general overview. We need to
Yeah.
pick the pieces we wanna start to work with on that. We can go to CPC for some funding, and then decide what our next step will be.
Could you also go to the Driftway account for, is that strictly to be used on the Driftway?
Well, I think with the Bates Lane stuff, we could go to CPC for that. I mean, we could actually go to CPC at some point if we needed extra money for the Driftway, because they allow recreation and now they allow some maintenance and things. So we might be able, if we need to, say, rebuild that pier, or another piece, we could go to some different sources. But I think we wanna be careful with that Driftway fund money, is primarily to maintain that Driftway Park. And the trails aren't any big deal, that doesn't cost much, but the big ticket item is that,
The dog.
the dock and the pier.
That's
The other thing is, we spent a lot of money on a report, I think, was it Hosley Witten that did something, and they talked about an amphitheater and different
Oh,
park,
yeah.
I mean, we got some big report somewhere that talks about all these, you know, interactive kiosks and, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, they
Put
wanted,
down there.
it's big.
wanted to make it into.
Whether we want to choose again to do all of
Coney
that,
Island.
but that sort of thing sort of worked out of the boat access. that's how that all got going. Remember when they,
Yeah,
the
there
former
was all-
commission restricted the use of the boat access, and then they tried to shut it down, and,
Then the boulders went up and they came down and the fighting started.
Right.
And the people from the started yelling.
so. But we do have a number of different pieces we could be pursuing, so.
Yeah.
But I just don't want it to be a report on the shelf. I think there's some things that we could get going on.
Oh,
That'd be good.
I think it should be used.
We could even take like on a couple of auxiliary members that maybe were former members that didn't have the time to serve on the commission, but wanted to work on a particular project.
Right. Open Space Subcommittee.
Yeah. Okay, do we have anything else? We got a couple of orders?
If,
Wait a minute, we got the minutes for April 17th. I make a motion to accept them as written, unless anybody else found anything that I didn't.
I didn't find anything.
A second that.
A couple of tugboats, but,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
and if the chair recused himself, and if anybody wants an update on 214, clap, we had the planning board meeting the other night, I'd be glad to.
If we do the two orders, I could leave and then you
No,
guys could
I'm
finish.
leaving.
Yeah.
I can't do the orders because I was not here for the meeting, so I did not even go over them. Because I don't-
They're just the standard orders, if I read them correctly. Is that right, Carol? Nothing?
They were really straightforward.
Yeah, Pleasant
Yeah.
Street has to do some cleaning up in the back where there's a garage and there's all sorts of debris in the
Is it
wetlands.
in the orders?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, why don't you guys make the motions, because I
Yeah.
don't feel I should.
Orders?
But I wasn't here
So
yet.
Egan
Yeah.
at 83 Surfside, you have orders for those?
Yep.
And you guys have looked at them?
Yep.
And you're
Orders
happy?
as written.
They were good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Downs, 9 Pleasant Street.
That was
septic.
easy.
Same thing.
Second.
All in
Orders as
favor?
written.
Aye.
Good. Okay, I mean, I just won't, I'm not gonna participate in your discussion on 214.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask a couple
I,
of
you
questions?
can talk about it, I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Right.
I mean, everything's open, public record, but in a open forum meeting.
Sure.
Can I just ask a question from the last meeting? You and I weren't here, Frank, but, did you discuss 117 Lawson Road? The fella on the corner that wanted to do the big garage with the apartment or whatever overhead, and here it says that he wants to modify
It's
it.
just an
It was
update
on an
from,
email
I can
from-
update it, but I won't get into.
Pat,
Pat,
Sorry.
yeah, Pat,
what was, is he gonna come back in or what?
my note here just says that he may want to leave the fence or put another one in.
Yeah, he
No,
could,
no,
he
this
can
is,
change it from a garage to a
It's like
shed,
to
but,
substitute a shed
Yeah.
rather than the large garage, in his driveway, he'd be willing to substitute.
But there was a fence involved in that, too.
right, and that you voted to leave that in place, leave the fence language.
That's a very, very sensitive area.
Near
I
a
think-
stream,
Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
stream down there, you remember there was the culvert there?
yes.
And out back, there used to be the duck pond from the green wall was
Yep,
down there.
right.
And we were going all through that stuff. I think it's a wicked sensitive area. I don't know if I'm,
That was the one where we didn't
Right on
know
that
whether
corner.
it was an artificial
yeah,
pond
Right.
or a natural pond.
right, but
And
there
I
was
don't-
lining in it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we left.
That was not discussed.
Right, we left the fence the way the original conditions were. The only thing we allowed was the change over from a garage to a shed. But everything else stays the same
That's
from
fine,
the
okay,
original.
because I was,
Yeah. No, there was talk about substituting more plantings for fence, but we just left the
We left
fence.
the
Right.
fence.
And I called the guy, I told him it's okay to do the shed, but not the,
yeah.
everything else.
Well, okay, the other one was that lot on Heritage. Are they gonna come in? I mean, what's the scoop there? Are they gonna file something?
Heritage,
One Heritage.
One
yeah,
Heritage
I
Trail.
had asked if anybody was gonna be able to take a look at that.
Didn't we already deal with all that?
Yes, we did deal with it, but I'm gonna try and find the minutes of that. Do you remember, Frank, was it when Paul Shea was here?
Yeah, we,
Because I wanna find the minutes, I wanna pull them up.
we also talked about, there's an old tree hut that's in the wetlands, and if she could take that down and clean up a bunch of stuff, then, you know, she may be able to do something outside of the 50. But it's been reflagged, but we haven't walked it since it's been reflagged.
I remember correctly,
I'm
we
very interested.
didn't want to take the tree house down
Yeah, I wanna
because it would
find,
be more,
can you remember?
more damage than having it there. That was my memory
Originally,
at
that might be in the
time.
original minutes. I haven't seen the minutes. I've only seen the order.
Well, my only comment here is that you didn't know there was another file.
Oh, well, yeah, I had the red file. I didn't have the original one, but.
Tony, do you remember when she came in with her brother? Was it when Paul Shea was our agent before Jim?
I don't blame you,
You
Rosemary.
mean, who was the,
Well, I would like to go back and
I
find
can't-
out. She's in here,
Why are we?
she came,
because I want to know what.
Don't we have didn't we give them a decision and tell them what to do
yeah, we
there?
had a decision.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's telling me what it was. Because I tried to find a file
No,
in there, and I
she-
couldn't find it before I went away.
She came in last time, and I think the way we left it was, we were gonna take a walk out there to see where the new flagging is and where 50 feet. We asked her to stake off 50 feet from the new flagging,
Right.
and then to see if that would be acceptable. So we haven't voted on it, we've just asked her to do something.
I thought we told them what to do before, Pat, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Yes, that's what I
There are
wanted.
orders on that property.
Originally. What's that?
There are orders on that property, are there not?
That was with the people prior to her.
Well,
Right, and I
That's
think
what
right
I'm
now,
getting
no,
at, and
you
she
know where the
came in with her
wetlands were,
brother.
was the first issue.
She was gonna give up the pool, was the deal. I'll give up the pool if I can have a little lawn, is what happened. So, but it is a different person. This is not the,
That's what I'm
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
that's why I wanna find the minutes when she came in with her brother and read them, because it wasn't a filing when she came
But-
in.
Heritage Trail
I,
is a flexible open space
right?
that did not require large lots. In exchange for that, there's a bunch of open space in the back, but these places are fairly restricted. They don't
Mhm.
get much yard.
Exactly,
That's the deal
and
with,
we told her that. So I don't
Right,
understand
but-
why she's back in here again, that's what I'm getting.
oh, I don't know if this is the same person,
It
but.
is,
But
It
her,
is.
oh, it's the same, way.
Yeah.
The issue with her is, can there, instead of, I'll give up the pool, can I go to the 50-foot line to the wetland, was her question. That's all her question is.
from
Can
the
I go
50 to the wetlands?
No closer than 50 to the wetlands.
let's just take a look, I mean, that's the concern that I have, is that these, when we do these flexible open spaces and the developer comes in, they're giving up a big yard.
Yeah.
They're getting other preferential treatment, and then we get big open space in the back. And then what happens is people buy the houses
They wanna do something.
and they want a bigger yard, but the developer's already bargained that away.
But it's still the same regulations as far as 50 feet from a wetland, whether you are in a flexible open space or you're in a,
Well, let's take a look.
have you seen the orders as written on that property?
I did see the pool, there's gonna be a pool and then there's gonna be a small lawn. And then her argument was, we just bought the house, we don't want the pool, that was the previous owner, I want a little lawn. And if I stay 50 feet away, is that possible? And it sounded like it's something we could look at
let's
least.
take-
Right, but we don't have drawings, it's not on the agenda, we're
Yeah.
just like talking about smoke.
I understand that.
But we asked her to stake it.
Right,
You know, so
right.
that's where we are now. She hasn't filed, she'll have to file.
Right.
Right.
And then we'll deal with it.
But if we go out and look at it to tell her, don't even bother, then,
You can tell her that.
hey, does anybody want to take a walk out there?
Sure.
I'll go tomorrow.
All right.
But we need to find that file.
Well, we have it. Well, I
No, we
mean,
need to find when she was in here,
I'll do whatever tomorrow.
what the minutes, what we told her the last time, because we were very specific, Frank. And I believe we told her, no, it had to stay the way it was. That's why I would like to try and find those minutes.
All right, well, good luck.
but, I mean, I think the
The rest of
first.
us wanna get the hell out of here.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
What do we need to do?
But we need to sign these orders. I'm
Yeah.
gonna move that we adjourn.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's sign the orders.